Tance. How do you pronounce your name? Tance?
That's it. Yep, Tance.
Serial entrepreneur. Tell me about that. So it sounds like you're involved in quite a few different things: real estate, e-com. Give us a rundown on everything Tance and what you're up to.
Yeah, I started my business when I was 17. I actually started in screen printing, apparel, business signage, some other stuff like that. And it's the company I still run today, own and operate today, which is Southern Designs. We own a number of direct-to-consumer brands. We have 3 of those right now that we focus on: Metal Unlimited, Cut Maps, and Carter and Maine. We make basically anything in home decor and kind of personalized gifts. And then on the side, I dabble in some real estate here locally where I live in Louisiana, and actually own one franchise location of a regional coffee chain. So it's just a fun project, yeah, for me.
Starbucks or what is the
So it's called PJ's Coffee of New Orleans. They have about 120 locations here in the Southeast United States. So yeah, so I do a few different things. Yeah,
involved in many different things?
yeah,
Sounds like, which is good. Diversity is always king when it comes to revenue streams.
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about the e-com side of things. So you mentioned you have 3 brands. Talk to us a little bit about each of the brands, kind of what all, a little more besides their home decor. I'm familiar with one of them, which is the steel. I've actually seen some of those ads, I think. So be good to hear a little bit about what you guys are doing and kind of how those have grown over the trend of time, I guess.
Yeah. So like I said, we actually started in screen printing apparel, and my brother got involved in the business about 6 years in, and was going to start doing some welding and fabricating metal products like gates and fences and just what have you. And so as he got his equipment, I said, hey, I want you to cut some of these personalized flat metal signs that I'm going to try to sell on the internet. I'd been dabbling in e-commerce a little bit with my apparel back. This is about 2013, 2014. And I said, hey, look, I want to launch a brand and sell these metal signs on the internet. I don't really see anybody doing this at a large scale. I think it's kind of a wide open opportunity. And so yeah, we did a launch and launched metalunlimited.com in 2014. And that kind of got our momentum going in e-commerce. And then in 2019, I actually acquired a brand called Cut Maps. It's really cool. It's got these decorative city maps. I wish I had one on me right now. I don't see one on my shelf here, but cutmaps.com, they're really neat, detailed, high quality stainless steel maps of different cities and states and things like that. We also have some wood maps. And then I also started a peel and stick wallpaper brand at carterandmaine.com. So, everything is still kind of related to printing and laser cutting, laser engraving. We use a lot of the same technologies across multiple brands, kind of trying to utilize economies of scale, but with some different, kind of focused product lines. And so, yeah, we've just been focused on scaling all 3 of these brands. Metal Unlimited is our flagship brand. It's our largest one, but the other 2 are coming along nicely as well.
What is something like Metal Unlimited? What does that do in terms of especially it'd be interesting to know, because I know obviously a lot of people are suffering with COVID-19. That's the new one. It's coming. How has the monthly revenue shifted and changed? Because obviously last year, we saw huge spikes. I'm sure you guys reaped the rewards, but as kind of iOS 14 has settled in post COVID-19, we're kind of seeing a lot of brands, pull back their spends and stuff. So how is that kind of looking for your biggest brand? How is that impacted in terms of revenue and spend and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so won't lie, it has impacted our revenue. I would say things are coming back down to earth. We're definitely up over 2019 by a good bit. But 2020 was just, an anomaly for us. I think people up until maybe now have really been heavily traveling, especially this summer. They missed vacations last year and things like that. So we feel like buyer intent's just really low right now with our products. And, maybe other people are seeing success with it, but with what we have right now, it's just, buyer intent's been a little bit lower. So it's been a little bit tougher getting conversions lately. And then of course with the, whole iOS 14 situation that's added a new kind of kink in the prospecting funnel for new customers. But yeah, I mean, we had an incredible 2020. I mean, just we grew a ton. We doubled last year, more than doubled actually. And so yeah, so I mean, like I said, things are kind of starting to level back off for this year for sure. But
if a brand was like, say, like if you guys were spending like, let's say January, February, March, pre-COVID, or pre-iOS, pre-iOS, you're spending 100K. How has that spend transitioned post-iOS? Like, where has that leveled off in terms of percentages for you guys? Because I'm seeing it with a lot of clients and just a lot of people. We had people spending 100K a day, 10K a day, and they've had to cut spend significantly just because the ROAS just isn't there. And it all stems post iOS. So talk to us a little bit about that and a little more, much detail as you want to go into. I don't know what you want to give in terms of numbers, but then also what you guys are doing, kind of how you've combated that the best, and kind of what you've seen in terms of strategies or tactics working to help kind of bring you back down, try to get you back up off of the earth.
Yeah, I would say right now we're probably spending about half of what we were previously spending on Facebook. And our Google spend has come down too, because I think those things kind of correlate. Google's more high intent as opposed to on prospecting. So those things kind of correlate a little bit. But yeah, Facebook spend's probably cut in half. For a little while, it was even more than half, but we've kind of come back up a little bit. But we've also been, focusing on different channels in general. We're, like a lot of other people, studying TikTok and trying to, figure out opportunities potentially there. We've bounced around with Pinterest some as well. We've been working with Pinterest for a few years, but that one's been a little bit challenging for us as well. But yeah, like I said, with Facebook, it's been cut in half. So, we're looking at more affiliate marketing and trying to do some partnerships with other brands. Shared, them promote us in their email promotions and vice versa. We're trying to kind of dig into some of that as well and just get creative and diversify our media spend, which we should be doing anyways. So this is maybe kind of helped force that.
Yeah, for sure. What you guys do in terms of like TikTok? Are you guys seeing any success with TikTok?
So we tested it back earlier this year, back in January and February, with minimal success. We're working with one of the reps right now. We've just gotten another account set up, and we've got somebody kind of helping guide us through that. I mean, I think you really need to understand that platform to understand how to advertise there, because it's very different than Facebook, as you guys know. So we're really, kind of studying that and making sure that we put our best foot forward. So I would say very limited spend on there. We don't have tons of data. I mean, costs are definitely a lot cheaper. We just need to make sure that we are still spending the money wisely.
Yep, and closing the sales. That's a big.
Tance, you need to learn the TikTok dances and then start doing ads with your dances.
I'm so horrible at dancing. I'm so lame. I wish I was a good dancer.
You get maybe Luke, you got some film stuff. Maybe you should send him a few.
Yeah, I can do that.
We'll let Luke do it. Yeah.
Hey, I will. Tim has a question from the group. He asks, what kind of ROAS are people getting who run your POD offers?
So I don't have that data yet. Our print on demand app is pretty new. We launched that the 1st of April, and we haven't really collected that data yet. So I apologize for not having it. We are noticing though, they've got to be getting a pretty good ROAS, because we've got pretty high margins on these products. So they have plenty of room to work with on their prospecting.
Interesting. And how does that? So that's the My Decor. What is it?
Yes, My Easy Monogram. It's a Shopify app where we offer our metal decor products that you can load into your Shopify store and offer personalized, signs and things like that to your customers on your Shopify store. And that's, like I said, that's really new for us, but we realize that we're not necessarily the best marketers in the world. Like one of the things we were talking about earlier is like, I've been in ad leaks for a couple of years now, but I don't really comment a lot, because I still feel like there are so many better marketers than me or my team out there. And so I'm just thinking of, how to leverage the power of all these great marketers that are out there who may not want to get into manufacturing like I do with all the equipment and shipping and logistics and all that, but who are incredible marketers. So that's why we've gotten into that space, and it's been fun to see what other people can do with it, for sure.
How many machines do you guys run, like the laser cut machines?
Yeah, so we have 5 lasers. They're pretty large machines. They're like 35 feet long and take up 15 feet wide. They're in a big, we have a pretty big facility, and we have 5 of those, and so we have lots of capacity.
Sweet. And basically the way that the app works is I put it on my Shopify store, and does it automatically send you the order data then once an
Yeah,
order?
everything's automated, and it bills the merchant 2 times a day. So usually I think it's 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. Any orders you got in that time will bill you automatically for it. All the data comes over. It's pretty seamless. It's a pretty easy, situation, because we're trying to take personalization at scale, which it can be difficult in a manufacturing environment. It's not just drop shipping, taking something off of a shelf and shipping it to a customer. We have to make it after they've ordered it. Same thing as any print on demand. So we're trying to take that at scale and allow customers to have the ultimate control over their products and make it unique while still maintaining a fast turnaround and fast shipping time.
How has your steel prices affected everything? Because I know steel is way up. So have you raised
Steel,
prices on products?
yeah, steel is triple what it was this time last year. So it's pretty tough. We actually just instituted our first price increase this year, across the board, to essentially just cover the increase of costs. We aren't really making any more money, or we're definitely not.
Yeah.
We're really just trying to kind of cover that increase, because we're hoping that based on the futures, hopefully the material is going to come down within the next year and a half. But I mean, man, who knows?
And what is the price increase on something like, let's say, $100 product? Like, what did you have, a straight flat percentage across the market?
Yeah, we increased our base prices about 10%.
Wow. Yeah. That's a jungle out there, man. It's just, I had another call with somebody today that's just, they, literally gonna have to close their doors. It just can't make it work. It's crazy. Costs
Man,
are up.
it's tough for sure. Yeah.
Hmm. And then you had the steel looking things. I'm looking at those. Those actually look pretty cool. That's used on the same machine when you're cutting those, the steel maps.
So we laser cut some of that, and we actually have some other manufacturing equipment that we've just landed to manufacture some of the smaller items in a different manner. And so we've got some actually somewhat proprietary processes that we're utilizing for that as well. But yeah, we do laser cut, some of that as well. We etch, we print, different medias, different manufacturing processes, but all the same equipment that we would use for metal unlimited and metal decor, products.
Do you list crossless products? Seems like it'd be a one store deal rather than a two, like with steel maps.
Yeah, well, we do cross promote them sometimes. When I bought Cut Maps, the brand, so I didn't want to just fold it into what I had. It kind of had its own following and own branding, and I think it's a cool little brand. So we've kind of let it go, but we do cross promote it as well, and we're going to be bringing it to the print on demand app as well, so that sellers can promote maps and things as well. We're going to be offering them the ability to create custom maps and offer that to their customers as well.
Mm-hmm. How did you get into this? Like, how does, when you talk, I know those machines are super expensive, and obviously there's got to be some good cash flow to be able to buy, because I'm sure those machines are 300, 200,000, 300,000.
The laser cutters that we use are about $625 a piece. So they're pretty dang expensive. It's a pretty capital intense business. And then we have a powder coating system. Those are 300,000 or whatever. So it's a good amount for sure. But when we started, we actually started with plasma cutters, and they're not as good quality as laser. But we started there. Those machines may be 25,000. So we just started with one of those, and then we started adding more of those as we grew. And I think we had 4 of those when we bought our first laser, and that one laser took all that volume on one machine and we got rid of the plasma just because the quality wasn't as good. But it got us started, you know. So I mean, it worked, and then we just
do you just sell those like what do you do? Like, I mean, who do you, because those plasma those are the water, right? Or is that the one with the water or is that how the laser works?
No, this is a plasma torch. It's not water. It's not a water jet. But we gave them away when we were done. Essentially, I think we sold one, but we basically gave them away. I mean, we had run them pretty dang hard, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just constantly running them, and they were pretty ragged when we upgraded to laser. So I actually had a couple friends that I gave one each to, and they kind of used it for some hobby stuff or just little things here and there. I mean, they had minimal value. We had wore them out.
Wow. And that was all started when you were how old? 17?
Yeah. Well, yeah, the company was, I started the company when I was 17. So we started metal when I was 24 in 2014.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I wouldn't even know how I wanted to start cutting metal. Like, I mean, I wouldn't even know how to. Did you have a background? Like, how do you?
Yeah. So with my printing business, I made, apparel. I made vinyl stickers and business signs and things like that. And something that was becoming pretty popular were these monogram stickers and monogrammed apparel with, your first initial, your middle initial, and your last initial. And ladies love these items. They love to personalize. And so I saw all of that, and I'd seen metal signs and things as Seth, my brother Seth, was getting into the metal fab. Yep. And I said, man, I think people would like to get these signs with their names on them, and I had been selling personalized monogram apparel on the internet before that through Facebook ads. That's where I cut my teeth in Facebook ads. And so I said, I really think, we could offer this in with the metal. So he had the equipment, and I just kind of had the idea and experience from apparel and just brought it over to another, product media.
Yep. And Luke was saying something about, so when I was talking to Luke prior to this, see a little more, after doing a little research, Luke, you were mentioning relationships, really good at leveraging product sourcing, things of that nature.
Tance, is that something that you were into?
You do.
Which is now.
Can you hear me, Tance?
Yeah.
Sounds like.
What were you asking specifically?
So.
Go ahead.
Just see if you like managing relationships of sourcing things like overseas or anything like that, or is everything in the US?
Yeah. So for us, pretty much everything is US. All of our steel we buy here in the US. The maps, we were buying the metal pieces from China. And so we invested in the equipment to be able to manufacture them here in the US. And it was, cost is always something to think about, but for us, it was more about turnaround time. It takes a while to get things from China. And so we wanted to be able to manufacture it in-house so that we could turn it quickly and have more of a just-in-time inventory as opposed to buying something and having to wait 4 to 6 weeks on it. That doesn't really work. And then, as you guys know, with Facebook ads, you go and people place an order, and then, your quality rankings and things like that go down because it takes so long. Like, say you sold a bunch real quick. Obviously, you can control the inventory in the back end with Shopify, but still, that just limits there's an opportunity cost there. And so we wanted to bring that in-house. And we consider ourselves to be very good at manufacturing, even more so than marketing. Like, we consider ourselves to be really good manufacturers. So we really thought that we could take that in-house and kind of up our game there. So we source most of the raw materials here in the US. We only have, I think, 1 or 2 components of anything in all of our product lines that comes from China. That's like a clock mechanism. We have this little metal clock that you can order, and just the clock mechanism with the hands comes from China, I think. And other than that, everything's pretty much American. And you can use the Made in America marketing angle as well that a lot of people like. So we try to leverage that when we can too. But it's definitely important to have multiple sources for every, material and type of component, because you never know when, one might run out. And especially with supply chains right now, it's becoming very challenging. So we've been trying to grow our list of suppliers so that we don't get caught with our pants down if one of them's out of something.
I know I would talk to Oh, what's the name of that big other steel company? Yeah, that I don't know. I can't remember his name. I said it earlier. The buff guy that used to be on Muslim Fitness. Oh,
Another steel company?
yeah. What's the other one?
Oh, you're talking about Redline, probably.
Yeah,
Redline
right.
Steel. Yeah.
So I remember talking to him. He always had said something about like they had automated the designs, like they were using a software or something like that for customization work. Or do you
Yep.
literally have to have like, because you do custom art, right? So are you
Yep.
having a designer create each file with the software, or have you automated that process?
Yeah. So when we started, we had multiple graphic designers on file, typing out every single name and resizing every piece. But today, everything's automated in the back end. We have software that handles all of that for us. And so as soon as the order comes in, we have a we actually have a fairly proprietary system for that as well that automates design, and that makes life a lot easier for sure. Because I mean, at one point, I think we had 6 individuals doing nothing but file preparation, and today we have 2 graphic designers on staff, and they don't do that. They do custom. If we get a custom request or we want to come out with a new product, a new SKU, things like that.
Like if I wanted you to make this ad leak sign in the background, you'd have to have that custom.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be custom. But I mean, even then, we've processed so many, it's pretty quick and easy now. But once we set it up once, we can automate personalization with that with no problem.
Yeah.
Which is that's a big piece of the print on demand aspect as well, is being able to automate all that in the back end to keep the costs low for the merchants.
Sure. And you guys do.
We got 2 questions.
Go ahead.
First one's from Michael Smallbach. I think that's how you say your name. How do you handle customer service for print on demand Shopify store owners versus how you handle Metal Unlimited direct customers?
So
he said, yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying, my direct consumer brands, I have a customer service team for all of that. The print on demand is still pretty new, but I have one dedicated individual that manages all of that. And then actually myself and my business partner on the app there, we help out and pitch in on the weekends and evenings if we see a message come through, because it's still pretty small. We have a few hundred merchants on there, and it's growing for sure, but it's still small enough where we just kind of have a few of us helping with that until it scales enough for us to build out a larger customer service team with it.
Got it. So the print on demand store owners don't handle their own direct customer service. They do.
Well, no, they handle their customer service for sure. I'm referencing us servicing the merchants, but most of the data is automated into their Shopify store, so they get updated tracking automatically. They've got pretty good visibility into the platform. So there's not a ton of the bulk of customer service is people saying, "Hey, where's my order? When's it going to ship out? When, do you have tracking yet?" I mean, that's like 70% of it. So, it's basically, "Hey, here's the turnaround time," and, which is 3 to 5 business days. And then of course, or here's your tracking info, but there's not a ton of customer service to be had with it. At least not yet. It's been pretty smooth because we turn it out so quick.
Are you guys marketing the app at all?
We're not. It's well, not really. We're not doing any paid traffic. We've worked with a couple of I guess you would say influencers or affiliates who have helped promote it a little bit, and then we've reached out to some people, but it's all been word of mouth so far. There's been no paid traffic behind it.
Cool. Damien DeFranco has a question. What challenges are you having with machine maintenance stateside for laser machines operating in China in the 500,000 plus range? The production factory that makes the machines usually sends a tech out bi-weekly or monthly as issues arise. How hard do you find getting qualified worker support where you are to diagnose and repair your machine?
Yeah, so
issues arise.
Yeah, we work with a couple of very reputable companies who they actually, our machines are made in Japan mostly. But the company that we buy from, they have a base in Japan. They have 2 bases here in the US. They have one in Europe. So they're global, and they have techs all over the world, all over the US. And so I think for us, we pretty much call them and we have somebody within Monday of the following week, whichever day it is. They usually fly them out on a Sunday evening or Monday. we have no issues with that, but that goes into buying equipment from an established reputable company and not trying to cheap out and buying some, cheap Chinese machine that doesn't have a company behind it. We spend a little bit more money and pay for the service and quality. So no issues with tech support or maintenance.
Hmm.
I've learned my lessons there. I've been burned before trying to cheap out and buy a cheaper machine. It's just, the saying you get what you pay for is very true in most cases.
Are you guys, excuse me. Oh, man. Are you guys outsourcing your marketing? Like, do you
No,
handle everything? Is it
uh,
email, SMS, Facebook, Google?
yeah, pretty much everything's in house. We have a little bit of assistance at times. We've got an agency that we do a little bit with,
Okay.
and then I've got a consultant as well that I chat with just to have outside opinions. I think that's very valuable.
Sure.
But we've got a small team in house. We do our own media buying and email and SMS and most of our own content creation. We're testing out getting some video and photo from some other creators just to get a different perspective and kind of get outside of our own box here. But yeah, the bulk of it's in house.
I feel like most print on demand stores would struggle. So if I'm new, I want to start a POD store, right? It's obviously, especially in this day and age, it would be hard. I feel like it would be hard to do that, but I'm definitely nowhere near any type of POD expert. How does, with all of the things that you've done and you've learned, like, what do you think what was your biggest mistake, and what advice could you give somebody that's looking to start, especially now in today's day and age with where we are at, in this ecosystem of ads?
In reference to print on demand specifically?
Yeah, or like steal, like, if they wanted to use your app, like basically
Yeah,
almost like drop shipping. They're becoming a drop shipper essentially at that point. So
loosely, yeah. So it's definitely more challenging than it used to be. I think brand building is way, way important now. Consumers are less easily fooled by the throw up a cheap store real quick, drop some items on it, run Facebook ad, and make a ton of money. That's just not working like it used to, which I'm glad to see. But it can be done, but it definitely takes a savvy marketer and somebody who's got a real, like I said, building a brand, but like a niche, a type of focus, and you're not just trying to sell anything to everybody. But somebody who really focuses on a niche seems to work really well. Like for us, we've seen some of our sellers who have success selling to like a pet market. Like they build a store around pet lovers or even a specific type of pet, like if it's dogs, obviously, or a type of dog even. I mean, there's still such large markets out there that you can go after. Family focused kind of gift stores work really well. We've seen people, focus on things like certain occupations. The like police and military thing is really big. So you'll see niches and focuses. And I think that's where you can win in a drop shipping or print on demand kind of environment.
okay, so you're thinking like just more, niching out, and obviously the brand building. Like, what do you think segments that? Like, how does one portray their brand to that level of where it needs to be based on consumer behavior? Because I agree with you, like even now you could even have a legit business, but and I've even seen it with some, bigger companies that have a ton of money, but they don't actually do, say, the organic social posting side. And, they're a reputable brand, but they're just not putting content out there, or they've never posted on Facebook, but they may have $10 million in the bank, but they don't have their social game figured out. So new customer comes in to their cycle, they start, searching about them, go to their Facebook or their Instagram, there's literally 4 posts in a year. What do you
Yeah.
think in terms of how one portrays their brand to that level, not only with just the amount of content you're putting out and the quality, but what are some other things that you feel like really segments that from those other people that aren't doing that see tremendous success?
Yeah, I mean, you still need to understand that audience as well. And so posting, obviously, posting content that is relevant to to that audience is key. I mean, we're seeing that, you know, a lot of UGC is what's working right now. Posting things that audience can relate to, that look real and authentic and not, you know, photoshopped or just thrown up quickly. So a lot of UGC and just posting content that isn't, definitely not salesy, that's just more speaks to the audience, and you know, going for the sale kind of when it makes sense. But you know, I'll also say I've, you know, specifically, I've never started more of a, you know, a POD store myself. I have that direct to consumer brand that I manufacture as well for. So I'm still learning some of this as well myself. I'm definitely not completely the expert on that piece, but what I see the people who are succeeding with our app doing is they have a niche. They're posting content that is organic and relevant to that audience. It's very authentic. It aligns with the customer. They know how to speak to that customer. Like when I talk about occupations, like if it's a police occupation, something, you know, they're very proud of that blue line symbol, or that their job is as a dangerous occupation. And so when you give them terminology and signs and things that reflect that, it just creates that emotional connection. And that's when you start, you know, that emotional connection combined with UGC, where they see that other people are doing this or using this product. I mean, that's where I'm seeing people win. I hope I'm answering your question correctly.
Oh, I 100% agree. Like the very first, the stuff that I learned, most of what I, you know, a lot of what I know from when I first got started, I think back in like 2008 or 2009, it was always like when you're writing your content, and this was even back then, it's becoming more, I think, important now as consumer behavior has gotten smarter, but it was always, you know, you need to write your ads in terms of, you know, like let's say talking about blue line, I'm actually a reserve officer. I do the police reserves here.
Nice.
You know, talking to the spouse of, you know, and kind of what they, you know, running ads to a woman, talking to them like how they deal with their husband going out on duty, not knowing if they're going to go home, kind of creating that, you know, is kind of, I think, one of the big things that segments any good marketer, not just, you know, a print on demand marketer, but the kind of marketer that can write that content in a way to speak to them and really trigger, like what you said, trigger that emotion and like kind of stem it up from deep and bring it up to the surface. I think really makes a difference in terms of what you can drive for CPAs and that kind of thing. So nope, great.
Absolutely.
I've been told that for 14 years now. Still true. But you have to be good at writing, you know. I used to suck at writing. I hated it. Copywriting, I literally I remember when and I know my partner on the agency said she would remember this too, because when I used to work with her, but I would literally just be sitting there writing and I would send it to him and he'd be like, what are you, are you stupid? This is spelled, like I used to struggle so bad with copywriting, spelling, grammatical errors, and I still struggle. It's something I actually had to like physically actively work on, but doing that made me such a better marketer, to be able to write that. So just takes a lot of practice.
Yeah, that's,
if you need more practice, Adlix Vault has a copywriting course in it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I truly believe that. So one of the things we're trying to kind of grow with our peel and stick wallpaper brand is doing a lot more content marketing with listicles, you know, just short articles, nothing too big. And so I've got a few people and I said, look, just start writing. Just go out there, it doesn't have to be a lot to it. Just go out there and find the top 5 reasons why somebody would, you know, use peel and stick wallpaper in their home office, or, you know, top 5 reasons why they might want this color of the year in their home decor, their decorating strategy, or whatever it may be. But just get out there and just do it. Like you said, like step into the fire, get some practice in, you know, and then you start to kind of pick up a little bit on it. And so that's what we've been doing a lot with our team, is just kind of going out there and just doing it, even if it never gets published. And so now because we're doing this right now, so we're actively seeing them start to come back and say, hey, I'm feeling more comfortable with this now. And I went and compared my article or my listicle to one on BuzzFeed or whatever website, and I saw how they did it, and I see how I could have tweaked mine and made it better or improved it. And so I totally subscribe to that theory of just kind of jumping in there and doing it. I love to wing it.
And I remember, like, I would sit there and literally write one ad and it could take me 45 minutes, and it literally would take
part of it though.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure. And then when you got to sit there and write 50 Google ads, you know, because you have 25 ad groups and it can take quite a while. But if you are big into content, one thing that's really working good for people right now is there's, I don't know if you've heard of conversion.ai.
Yeah, I've seen it. I don't know much about it, but I've seen it.
Yeah, definitely check it out. It's super legit. It's the real deal.
Okay.
It kind of basically, you put stuff in there and then machine, you know, Jarvis will rewrite some of it. And it's actually a really, really good way to put a spin on your content. It's been working really, really well for us. So, and it's just less writing you have to do because you can put one idea in there and it'll spit out 10.
Yeah, I'll have to try that.
Yep. It's super cheap too. I think I just got billed for it. It was like $99 or something. Just depends on the level plan you go, but it's definitely worth testing.
Yeah.
Luke, any more questions from the group?
No more questions. Hopefully we answered them all, guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, it's an interesting, and you guys are, where's your warehouse located?
So we're in Louisiana.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, it definitely would be something, it would be interesting to see that whole ecosystem of how that works, because I mean, it's like going from nothing to learning how to, you know, run this machine to doing custom artwork on a laser. I mean, is there some guy that comes in and trains you how to use this laser? Like, you know, like.
I wish. You know, at the end of the day, in the manufacturing world, in most cases, the technicians who might install the machine or stand it up, they will, in a sense, teach you how to turn it on and use it. But the bulk of them don't actually have the real world experience. And so, you know, here's how you turn it on. Here's how you load a file. And I say, okay, well, what about putting in this type of material? Or what if we want to do this or this? And it's kind of like, well, you know, you can call the help desk and they'll help you with that. And I was like, okay. So, I mean, they can get you in there and get it going. But in most cases, you know, we have to just kind of get in there, like, once again, and just kind of try some stuff ourselves, which is sad to say, but it's the truth. But, you know, honestly, we've learned a lot about what we know about manufacturing from YouTube. I mean, you know, we've gone to some courses and trainings and things like that. And actually our laser manufacturer, they do have a training course you can go to at their facility in Chicago for like 2 or 3 days and get some more hands-on training with them. But in general, we just, let's figure out how to do this. Okay, let's, you know, get on YouTube, or let's go in the Facebook group, like, you know, with AdLeaks for advertising. Let's go in the group that we have for laser operators and see what other people are doing.
Really? So that, like,
Yeah.
Okay. How many new products do you guys roll out? Like obviously I would think part of being successful is new product launches.
So honestly, we're really poor at product launches. We should do a lot better than we do. It's something that we are working a lot on this year to increase. Sometimes we get a little lazy with our best sellers and kind of ride them for too long. And we are really trying to do better at, you know, rolling out new products and new variations and versions of existing winners, to try to keep the line fresh. But the good thing with what we do is that it's personalized and it's unique every time anyways. So, you know, a lot of times people are buying our items to give as gifts. So for them, it's in a sense new every time, but it's, I don't know, we don't have to refresh the line as much as I think maybe some kind of standard decor item is, because it's that same thing over and over.
Right. What are your top like 5 products?
Basically, they're all monogram signs that have, you know, somebody's name on it, and maybe an initial in the background, a large initial, and then the name across it in a circle or kind of square decorative format that people can hang on their front door or on the wall in their living room or on their patio or something like that. That's pretty much the big seller, you know. And then we get into, you know, some more specific holiday or interest or hobby occupation signs and things that do okay. But the volume is just in those kind of generic monogram signs that you can personalize with your name or home address or something.
You ever looked into like anything with like licensing, like with Marvel or Spider-Man, or done any research on that? And kind of, I'm sure that's hard to get into, but
yeah, we dabbled in collegiate licensing, college football or college sports, but kind of college football specifically. And We did okay with it. We gave it up because it's very hard. It's so much red tape. It's very hard to maneuver that system and be profitable. And also, the big schools. So in that world, in the college world, every school has their final say, as opposed to it being kind of like a blanket, like pro sports league license, which you get an NFL license, you get all the teams. In college, every school has their own kind of authority, and so some might just turn you down for whatever reason.
Is there like
So then,
you like just call one guy at the NCAA and say, hey, I want to license this for, how does that work? You got to outreach to every school?
some schools run their own licensing programs, and then there are a few large licensing firms, CLC, or I think they've changed their name now, and a few others who manage it for schools. But it's a extremely convoluted and fragmented system that is very frustrating to navigate. And they all have different royalty rates and different rules. And like I said, what if I, applied for a, SEC college football license for all the schools there, but 6 of them told me yes and 6 of them told me no. Well, how am I supposed to go market, like, broadly, how am I supposed to go market that if I've got one school but I don't have the other one? And
Yeah.
it just became a mess. And so we gave it up, because if we can't get them all, we just don't want any of them at this point.
What does something like that cost? Like even for like the NFL, if you wanted to go get the license for the NFL, what's the?
I believe 100,000 just to basically get in, and then you pay whatever their royalty rate is. I don't know what it is, probably 10-12%, something like that.
Like a percentage of the sale or something?
Yeah, and then you have to tag it with their hologram sticker, and you have to have your materials tested by labs to make sure you're not doing anything like poisonous or with lead in it or something like that. So there's a lot of testing and regulations around the product materials and the quality. And then, like with California, there will be a separate set of rules for California compared to the rest of the country. So there's a lot of that you still have to navigate, regardless of who you're licensing it with, whether it was college or NFL or whatever. So it's still a lot of work, but we didn't dive off into that.
Makes sense.
Mhm.
You should test that sign Luke made behind him. I bet that's not going to pass.
Absolutely not. Bell died.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been interesting. I mean, is there anybody in the steel line of business that does anything like that? I don't know that.
Yeah, there's a couple of people doing it. Not competing with what I do direct to consumer. It's some different stuff, pretty much. And they really just go to trade shows and kind of wholesale to retailers, like a outdoor store or some kind of sporting goods store or something like that. That's more how that world kind of works. So it's still a little different, but yeah, there's a few of them doing it.
I know there's a guy, Dan Nike. He's over in Australia. We interviewed him a while back. He has like a leggings and he has a license with Marvel. And I know that he had said that crushes for him.
Yeah, we've looked at more of licensing with brands in more of the, I guess, home decor or styling world now, especially now that we're in like wallpaper and stuff. So something like HGTV related or something of that nature is more what we've looked at if we were to ever get back into licensing.
And then what about influencer stuff? Have you done any of that with marketing?
So honestly, we suck at influencer marketing. I wish we were a lot better at it. And so I'm definitely looking for some help with influencer marketing if anybody wants to, hit me up after this, because our wallpaper brand is the strongest brand for influencer marketing. We have a lot of people who contact us, and we've worked with some people previously. We've gotten some good publicity with it, with some major national, media publications and things. But with my metal decor, I haven't figured out how to make it work. I don't feel like I'm a well-connected guy. So I don't, have people I can just call up on that. So I'm trying to do better at networking and getting in with people who can help me with that.
Yeah, that's one thing that we don't really have. I was just talking to an agency. I was trying to find a really good partner for us on the influencer side, but it's hard. It's such a hard market, and I haven't found anybody that is really, a, like a go-to, like this guy crushes as an influencer. That's all they do.
Yeah.
And it's been a struggle even for us to find somebody that we could even, recommend. I had a couple meetings a few weeks ago with some people, and it's hard, definitely difficult.
It's a very fragmented space still as well. You see a lot of people trying to create platforms to bring people together. I mean, you see a lot of that right now, but there's no kind of rule of thumb to go by that I've seen. But like I said, I'm not an expert on it, but I don't. It's very.
If you have the
all over
money
the
to
place.
play, like there's some good, like Grin is a really good one, but you're talking, it's very expensive, like 30, 40, 50, 60,000 just to get access to the software. Then you got to pay influencers. And so, I mean, if you're working with, hey, I got, hundreds of thousands, yeah, we could point you in the right direction. But for the average smaller brand that has 4 or 5, I mean, it's one of those things that's somewhat difficult to get. Number one, to make it measurable, because that's the big thing for me is how do we make this measurable? So you can do coupon codes or things of that nature, but it's one of those things where, and I guess probably the one guy, I was talking to somebody that went to, I don't know if you know Josh Snow. I don't even think that's his real name. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, his last name
or
is
something like that.
What is it?
Alishti or something.
Yeah,
It's like
or something. I know, like one guy went to one of his private masterminds or whatever, and he actually, I'll have to get it, but there was something that he does. It's really, really cheap to get because I mean, if you see him, he gets all the top level info.
Oh yeah,
and he actually released part of that, the way he does that, and I forgot how he does it. I'm not gonna say the guy's name or the girl's name, but I'll call them after this because it was a very specific way, and it was like you could get huge influencers for like at a tenth of the cost of what they would charge for an influencer post through this other third-party channel thing or something like that. But I can't remember.
Yeah,
I forgot about it. So now I'm gonna have
to they've killed it with Snow with influencer marketing. They're one of the success stories with influencer marketing. But I was actually at Affiliate Summit in New York a couple weeks ago, and he spoke at one of the sessions, and he made the comment though even at one point they had worked with this large influencer and spent tens of thousands of dollars and got all this going, and the campaign generated like $700 in revenue or something like that. And it's just like you still got to be careful with it. It's doesn't mean it's always going to work just because somebody has tons of followers. I mean, the big thing in influencer right now is like micro influencers. Once again with brand building, getting with influencers who really have a strong connection to their base, whether that's 2,000 people or 200,000 people. Quality over quantity, and that's what we've been watching with influencer and trying to figure out how to harness that. It's micro.
Yeah, he was getting macro for micro prices, and he gave the strategy on how he did it, and it was through a software. And I'm gonna look up the name of it. So if anybody's interested, hit me up probably in the next hour, and I'll have it. But it was the way he was doing it was pretty smart, and he was getting like somebody that like the influencers he has for the prices of micro influencers.
Nice.
But I also know that some of those influencers he does stuff with, like they own percentages of his brand. He doesn't own his whole brand. But I'll have to get more info on that because now I forgot. My brain's only so big. I like it so much. Data overload. Well, man, I appreciate the time. It was very, very good. It's eye-opening to me. It's a whole new world that I have know nothing about. So,
I appreciate it. I'm always excited to talk about manufacturing, and now the print on demand space as well. It's a little corner that I'm in that I would, I feel like I know more about that than I do marketing. So I'm in athletes to learn about marketing and see what all you pros are saying. So
with your,
but it's good to talk about it.
Yeah. So like with your Metal Unlimited stuff right now, you said you had 5 machines.
Yeah, we have 5 lasers that cut the steel.
So how much like how many orders right now, like post COVID, are you guys fulfilling a day just on like the Metal Unlimited side? Like what does your volume look like since scale has cut down?
Yeah, I mean, it just depends. It could be anywhere from a couple hundred to 1,000. It just depends on what's going on. I mean, our capacity is, we can turn out generally about 3,000 orders a day or so. And in Q4, we definitely max that out. We run 24/7 trying to push them out. But it just depends. Holidays like Mother's Day or July 4th or something like that, we could sell thousands in one day. And then, you might have some slow days where it's just a couple hundred. But we're in that range.
So are you a seasonal help then? Like, do you hire seasonal help or do you have to lay people off?
Yeah.
Slow down.
No, Q4, we probably add 20 to 30 seasonal staff on top of our existing staff to accommodate the increase in volume.
And how many staff does it take to do something like that? If you're putting out 3,000 metal orders a day, like 10?
No. Well, I mean, so our company, we have 40, we fluctuate between 40 and 50 full time. And so we'll add 20 to 30 during the holidays. So we'll be at 70, 75 during Q4. Yeah.
That's crazy. Good for you, man.
You ever done any
Sometimes.
B2B? Is it all B2C?
No, we do a little bit of kind of like wholesale, or it's still kind of a drop ship model in many ways, but B2B, I mean, we sell, in the past, we've sold to Walmart, to TJ Maxx. We're actually onboarding with Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's right now to sell to be the metal decor supplier on their website. So hopefully that's going to be going live here very soon. And we partner up with some other brands. We're talking with a few good ones right now, actually. Franklin Mint right now, which I think is one of Sean's brands, or he's involved with that. And so we've got we've got Franklin Mint. They're in the Rev portfolio there, with Pier 1 and all that. Yep.
What brand is that? Did you say?
Isn't I think Sean is involved with that group. Yep.
Like Sean Brown from Mad Leagues or a different? Oh, okay.
Yep.
Is it the one that sells like a bunch of different stuff, like coins, guitars?
Coins and collectibles and stuff like that? Yep. Yeah. So it's with that that group that they have, and so which I haven't chatted with them about that or anything, but they're actually wanting to sell our maps. They have a lot of maps and US geographic products and things like that, and so that's why they're interested in that. So yeah, I mean, we work with retailers and things like that as well, and then we have corporations that'll reach out for bulk orders. So like we're working with Virgin right now on some cool stuff for their cruise lines, and we've worked with some large corporations for awards and things where they just come in and order like thousands of them at once. Yep. And we get those every now and then. We don't push hard for that. We work with a lot of hotels for like we've worked with them for like room art, guest room art, stuff like that. So
that's cool. That's a good space to be in too, I suppose.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, yeah, I appreciate it. I don't have any other questions that come to mind. My brain just goes, and then something comes in. It's like, poof, there it is. So,
well, he's got 4 kids, so he can only use so much capacity.
Don't even give me story.
I saw you. I appreciate you guys.
I saw you had a wife and kid back there in the background. How many kids do you have?
Yeah, I've got 2. I've got a 3-year-old and a 3-month-old, or she's 4 months old now, I think. Actually, yeah. Tomorrow is 4 months. So, so I've got 2 kids, and I think I'm done at 2. I don't think I can go for 4 or however many it is you have. It's a lot.
I have when I'm my wife will castrate me, so
it's fun. It's fun, but
she hasn't already done that.
She's trying. I refuse.
That's awesome.
All right, man. I appreciate it.
Guys.
Good chat. Learned a lot. So I am no metal expert by any means. So
yeah, well, I appreciate you guys having me, and glad to be a part of the group. Glad I could come on and kind of get some FaceTime with everybody here, and I'll try to be a little more involved in the comments and posts and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, no problem, man. I appreciate it.
Start filming videos.
There you go.
See you later, guys.
All right, guys. See y'all.